And welcome back to another episode of 50/50. I'm Christopher. Together, we walk up and down the top 50 and bottom 50 movies of all time, according to the Internet Movie Database, as of January 1st, 2010. I can hear you just fine.
I know you
So
can.
hopefully,
Oh, I think, okay, there you go. Can people hear me still? Okay. Anyway, if not, I'm Charles. It's a big mystery who I am. My meters won't work in there for a
it
second,
always
but
seems like we know who you are.
yeah, and your internet's breaking up again. This is great. All right, cool. Um,
Oh, beautiful. Always happens.
okay, so
So
go ahead.
I would say this time we're talking about the 37th best and worst movie of all time as of January 1st, 2010. So,
Which is cool because we had to switch one, right? Because we couldn't find the original on our list. So the movie we added is from 2011, so it's going to be the newest movie on our list unless we switch others. So that's kind of funny.
oh, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, and well, just because it's new doesn't mean it's good. So, we'll come to that when we come to that, I suppose. So, where do you want to start, Charles? You want to start with the
Well,
best or worst?
well,
Do we
yeah,
want to
we
talk
generally
about
start
what
with
the
the
best and
best.
worst are?
We generally start with
Okay.
the best. But before we get into that, you know, this last week, I mean, well, I'll back up. You guys know I'm in Texas. Topher's in Georgia, but he used to live in Texas. But Texas last week was crazy. We were hit with an insane winter storm. Brought us down to some of the lowest temperatures I've seen. I mean, we were hovering around 0 degrees, and that just doesn't happen here that often, right? And so a lot of people were without power, without water. A lot of people died, and we're doing okay. We that didn't happen. The worst for us was that we had to boil our water because the water treatment plants were offline. So the city said, you can't, you have to boil it if you're going to use it. And so that we decided to not take showers during those days. We weren't 100% sure. We had bottled water. We did all that, but friends and family, they weren't so lucky. Their power was out for days in the freezing cold, and their water was out. And so like my wife's mother actually came and stayed with us because her power was out and her pool completely froze. It was ice, and you couldn't chip it. And then everybody's worried about broken pipes, and because the pipes were bursting everywhere. And my wife's a teacher, and her school pipes burst, and a lot of the classrooms are completely flooded. So it's been an ordeal, and I just want to. I'm fortunate, and I acknowledge that. I don't know how I got to be so lucky, but I did, and I don't generally try to mix politics in with this podcast because we're primarily a movie podcast. All the podcasts we do are movie related, but I'm seeing a lot of stuff on Facebook that's frustrating me, and one of the things I saw that just really aggravated me, former Texas Governor Rick Perry, he said that Texans would rather have their power out for several days in a row and more days rather than be regulated by the government. And my first thought was not the people who died, and certainly not this Texan. So it's just frustrating to hear that kind of stuff. And windmills are getting blamed, and ERCOT, which is the people that run the grid. By the way, if you don't know this, Texas is on its own grid. It's the only state in the continental U.S. that is on its own grid. There's two other grids, a western and eastern. We're on our own, and the reason is because they wanted to keep deregulation, which in theory is supposed to allow for lower prices, which it doesn't. But so ERCOT is in charge of the grid, and what happened was all of the types of power plants froze because they didn't winterize them, because they thought, why should we have to? We're going to save the money because it doesn't freeze enough in Texas. They were warned 10 years ago to do it when we had the Super Bowl in Arlington, and it froze then too, and it was bad, and they were told. But because there's no regulation, they didn't have to, and they didn't spend the money to do it then. And I just heard that the 5 people on ERCOT, the board or whatever, either they resigned or they were fired, and that frustrates me because they were in charge of the grid, but it was the power plants that were frozen over. And the other thing that frustrates me is windmills are being blamed for this, and that's just not true. I mean, use your common sense, people. Texas is known for big oil, and that's what's basically putting out propaganda about all this green energy and stuff. When that was a part of it, sure, but that was only like less than a quarter of it. The rest was nuclear, coal, gas, oil, all that. So anyway, it's just frustrating what I'm seeing, and that's that. So hopefully that's not too political, and I hope that didn't annoy you or frustrate you, but those are facts. That's just is what it is, and I really don't think anything's going to change, unfortunately. So in just a few years, I bet we'll have another big freeze. All right.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I don't live in Texas anymore, so forgive me. I don't have a whole lot to contribute to that conversation, so forgive me for being quiet. It's not that I don't have political. It was 75 degrees today. It was beautiful.
And actually, okay,
I'm not trying to laugh at people's misery, but
no, that's a funny thing though, because a week ago it was 0 degrees. Today it's in the 70s, close to 80 here. Like in less than a week, we shifted that much. That's crazy Texas weather. Again, I've never seen that much snow. It's insane. But I know a lot of people still don't have power. So
well, and we live in Atlanta, and a couple years ago we had what we called snowpocalypse, which they made fun of. They made fun of on SNL for you guys freaked out because you got 2 inches of snow. It's like, well, and I think, and certainly I'm not trying to get into all the political stuff that you're not political, but all the more systematic stuff that you were discussing. But I think Texas is in the same boat that Georgia is. It doesn't take much snow to knock us back because nothing that we have is built for that. You know what I mean? Atlanta was just shut down.
Yeah, I heard they were doing like Chick-fil-A drivers were getting out and delivering food to cars that were stuck on the highways.
It took me 14 hours to go 10 miles to get home from work. I mean, it was insanity, and so it just is crazy. So I don't know. I just think that both of our states are woefully unprepared for that.
I know that people up north want to make fun of it, and that's fine. I know it seems silly, but we don't usually have enough salt to salt our roads. We definitely don't have winter tires or chains, or don't even have the clothes for it. And not only that, but our homes are made for sun, and so there's not a lot of insulation from the cold, and our windows.
Well, and
yeah,
okay, we'll move back to the movies here in a second, but it's not even you can make fun of us all you want, but put 110-degree heat wave in New York City and watch how quickly people melt because their infrastructure doesn't have air conditioning in every building. I mean, it's just you build for the climate that you're in and what the average is there. You don't build for the freak one-off events. And so that's not to say that they shouldn't have emergency plans in place, but no one's planning to get 6 feet of snow in where it's
well, and I get that too. I definitely get it. But and one other thing I want to say, you reminded me. Speaking of being stuck in cars and all that. I don't know if you saw in the news, but we had right as the snow was kind of starting, there was a massive pileup in Fort Worth. Did you hear about this? And it has to be one of the worst pileups in history. It was hundreds of cars in this wreck because it was solid ice. People can drive, and several people died. I mean, it was a big thing, and it's not that Texas is a bunch of, I sound Texan when I say it's a bunch of sissies. It's not that we're that. It's just we don't have it. Nothing is prepared for it. That's and that's the frustrating thing. Like I said, I don't think anything's going to change. And it's people, Rick Barry's comment was really callous, and it just proves the point that they don't care, and they're not going to change it because it's going to save money. Yeah. So. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, we can move back to the movies now, but always good to be able to share your opinion, whether everyone
right and
agrees or not. It's always good. To be able
I do get in some Facebook debates I've done them, but I really try to be as neutral I believe everyone obviously should have their own opinion.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I have a microphone.
Well, we literally
the
built
scene.
a podcast here where
it's a scene from a wedding singer. It's like, I have a microphone, you don't, so you will listen to everything I have to say. It's not that, believe me. And also, if you guys are wondering, I am wearing a Halloween safety shirt. You're probably wondering, why am I wearing this in February, close to March? And the answer is, we haven't had a podcast since December, and after that podcast, this was a Christmas gift from my wife. And so I figured, what the heck, I'll wear it. Also, that does remind me, if anyone saw the last Good Bad podcast, we did a hot wing challenge, and we ate some of the spiciest sauces. Did you watch any of that, Topher?
I didn't see that. I've got to see this now.
So these things here, this thing is supposedly the hottest pepper in the world. It's the Carolina. Well, they call it Pepper X it's Apollo pepper, but it's basically the Carolina Reaper. And if you've seen that chip challenge people do online where they eat one chip, that same pepper is what makes this sauce. And so we watched satanic children movies because it's like hotter than hell. So we watched all these, and each movie we got to a hotter and hotter sauce until by the end we were doing the hottest one. And I was dressed like a demon for satanic children movies, so my makeup started melting when I got to the hot one. It was like it couldn't breathe. It's like, so I put a highlight if you just want to watch the reaction. So the highlight and the full length are out there too. You should check it out, Topher. It's pretty funny. Maybe you and I should do something like that in the future. Why not?
Gosh. Nope. I'm just gonna nope. No. You can do. How about you do something really hot and spicy, and I'll do something that's enjoyable. Like we'll just do that. Like that'll.
No. We need to be in this together.
Good and bad,
We need to be in this together. If you want to do good and bad sauces, like one that's really crazy hot and one that's delicious, I'm good with that. Like we could do something like that, but.
Oh jeez.
Because they are starting. It's based on this. It's based on Hot Ones, the show Hot Ones on YouTube, and I actually got their same sauces they use in that. And I can buy more because they're starting a new season, so they have different sauces every season. So Topher, if you would like to add that to our repertoire here.
It's painful enough having to watch some of these movies. I don't need to add actual physical torment to the process.
And speaking of that, what's funny? What's funny about tonight is I have no idea what you're going to think about either one of these movies. I don't know if you like either one of them. I don't know if you.
This is gonna be fun.
This is an interesting one. It's a very
I'm
odd
excited.
thing. And anyway.
I am excited.
All right.
This is gonna be good. And just real quick, going back for a second.
Yeah, fine.
As much as we love talking about movies, talking about politics is the same thing. And I don't want to say that we disagree as just the same or just as much, but it definitely happens, and we laugh our way right through it, and it's beautiful. And I love that about our friendship. There was one point
you and I talked about doing a political podcast, and maybe that'll still come around. I think we were going to do we were going to give we won't give it away, but we were going to basically try to give the backstory on all main events and try to do it as neutral as possible. And because we do different politics, it was going to be we were going to give and take and pull each other until we try to get it as neutral as it could be. So anyway,
moving on. So yes, these two movies. Let's do it. I'm excited.
Starting with American Beauty?
I think we start with American Beauty.
Okay.
American Beauty, which was at the time the 37th best movie of all time.
And what is it now?
It is now sitting at number 77, which honestly not as far of a drop as I would have thought in 11 years, considering.
And do you have the synopsis for it?
I do. Well, I have the one that's on IMDb.
That's fine. That's what we use.
That's where we are.
Yeah.
And it is. It's one of those synopses where you're like, well, that's not wrong, but it just leaves a little bit out. Where the synopsis, according to IMDb, is a sexually frustrated suburban father has a midlife crisis after becoming infatuated with his daughter's best friend. That is factually true, but I feel like there is so much more going on in this movie than that.
Here is the trailer.
So.
Morning, Jim.
Morning, Carolyn.
I love your tie, that collar.
going, Dad?
Ricky? Coming, Dad.
What the hell do you think you're doing?
We're having everyone write out a job description. That way management can assess who's valuable
and who's expendable.
My parents are trying to take an active interest in me. Why can't they just have their own lives?
I'm so proud of you. You didn't screw up once.
Oh my god, it's a psycho next door.
Jane, what if he worships you?
I didn't mean to scare you. I'm not obsessing. I'm just curious.
Why does he dress like a Bible salesman?
Today I quit my job, and then I blackmailed my boss for almost $60,000 past the asparagus.
Your dad's actually kind of cute.
I think he and your mother have not slept together in a long time.
Shut up!
You think you're the only one who's frustrated.
I'm not? Well then, come on, baby, I'm ready.
Welcome to America's weirdest home videos. This is for your own good, boy. There are rules in life.
Yes, sir. Don't give up on me, Dad. Smile! You're at Mr. Smiley's.
You are so busted. I love shooting this gun.
Sometimes there's so much beauty in the world. I feel like I can't take it.
I rule.
If I delete tonight, would you come with me?
Yes.
So that's 1999's American Beauty. Charles, what'd you think of this movie?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So I think we have to start with the obvious thing here, Kevin Spacey. This is one of those times, we've talked about this on the podcast a few times, but trying to separate the artists from their real life, their personal stuff from their work, and that's hard. I struggle with that. It's like I try to be as neutral as possible, and because there are a lot of people that work on movies and just say this movie sucks because this person made bad choices, and he made terrible choices, and a lot of it came out. And it's been since the 80s he was doing these terrible things, and it's like hard to separate that out. The other thing about this movie for me. So again, I want to say we're not condoning what he did. We're just going to try to discuss the merits of the movie overall.
Sure. Yeah,
and that will include the acting too. So we'll see what we think about his acting. This movie won 5 Oscars. Won Best Actor for Kevin Spacey, Best Picture, Best Director for Sam Mendes, Best Screenplay, Alan Ball, and Best Cinematography, Conrad Hall, I think is that his name? Yeah. He This is one of his last movies. I think his last movie was Road to Perdition. But anyway,
Correct.
So yeah. So the thing is, when I've only seen this movie twice. Once was in 1999, and once was this year, 2021, when I rewatched it. And so the thing that my observation was this: I was around the same age as the teenagers in the movie when I first saw it. And I'm around the same age as Kevin Spacey's character is in the movie, closer to that age now, within a few years, give or take on either side. And so my perspective has changed significantly. And when I was closer to the teenager's age, I didn't like this movie very much. I thought it was weird. I didn't really relate to it. Didn't understand all of it. I thought it was funny in places, and I thought, the dialogue was really witty and clever, and I saw it more as a weird comedy. Now that I'm older and I'm closer to the main characters, I understand things, I have a different perspective, as I said. I found myself liking it a lot more this time. And I didn't expect that at all. So, it is it is a weird film, and there's a lot going on. I think ultimately it is a dark comedy drama about, isolation and midlife crisis and suburbia, all these things. So it's really interesting how my perspective changed, but I still think it's pretentious in a lot of places. I still cannot stand the whole thing with the bag. I just don't get it. There's so much beauty. The other thing is, too, Kevin Spacey's character in this movie is a creep. And it's like you have a weird protagonist, and it's like, are you rooting for him? It's like, okay, anyway, you go ahead. What do you think?
Well, can we make, I know it's terrible, Kevin Spacey's actions in real life, right? And I'm not condoning them.
Right.
But, like, I feel like some levity in the situation as far as, like, if you want to get a great performance of somebody playing a creep, hiring a creep to play that role is pretty spot on casting. It's like, you want to get a great performance in that role, like, just hire the real thing, right? It's like
that's true,
hiring
but...
Arlie Ermy to play the drill sergeant in Full Metal Jacket. It's like, of course he's
perfect, wait,
right?
Hardy, I misheard you. I thought you said Arnie Hammer, and I was thinking of the whole cannibal thing. I was like, well, what movie was he a cannibal?
No. Arlie Ermy in Full Metal Jacket.
I know.
Like,
I heard you. No,
he's perfect in the role because he doesn't have to act, right? Like, Kevin Spacey's perfect in this role as a creeper because he doesn't have to act. He's just a creeper.
But I don't think it's 100% fair because I know you're joking. I know. I agree with you. That's probably why. I don't know if they knew it at the time, how he kept it at the time. But I do think his performance is really good. In fact, I think all of the acting is great.
I think the best moments for Kevin Spacey, and we're just going to totally spoil this movie. So if you have not seen this movie, just stop now, go watch the movie, or forever hold your peace. So, like, the moment when Chris Cooper walks in to the garage out of the rain and embraces him, and that moment where Kevin, like, the actual shock in Kevin Spacey's face is the most real emotion in the movie. Because I feel like so much of the movie, he's trying to put up a front, and that's like the whole thing, is he's trying to put on this face, and it looks plastic, it looks fake and all that stuff. But in that moment, all of those walls come down, and he really does capture that moment. And that is the best moment. But I will say, on rewatching it, I think Annette Bening steals the show. I think
fantastic.
She is so much better. She is awesome.
And to your point about the fronts, everybody in this movie, every adult is dysfunctional in this movie. They're all putting on their own face. She's kind of OCD, perfectionist, and like, hard on herself, slapping herself, crying. Those are intense scenes, and they're so well done. Kevin Spacey's putting on a front, at the beginning, he's trying to be normal, quote unquote, and then he goes on, he's kind of busting loose, right? And then Chris Cooper's character is, this ex-military guy putting on a hard face, and it turns out he's, a repressed homosexual, and that's what he's fighting his feelings against. So the adults are the most messed up in this movie in all those aspects. The teenagers actually fare much better, even though they're weird. But yes, everybody's kind of dysfunctional in this movie.
I think a couple things right away about this movie that I love, and also kind of don't know that I love them because they are well executed, but I don't necessarily like the choice, if that makes any sense. Like, I can look at it and go, that was really well done. I would never do it that way, and it's not my favorite. Like, I think Conrad Hall kills it with cinematography.
Yes, he does.
I can't stand it, though. I can't stand it. I don't like the way this movie looks at all.
Really?
It looks so subjective. I feel like I am in a dream the whole time. It looks like the Blue Velvet, like that super saturated Blue Velvet suburbia, which is fine. But the problem is, if you're trying to, like, ground a movie in this reality, I don't know. I can't.
I don't think they were trying to ground it. I mean, that's the thing. I really don't think they were trying to ground it. I think they were going for a dark comedy in a lot of it.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, though, is that it ruins the dream sequences from the reality sequences, because they start to blend to a point where the dream sequences lose potency because they look just the same as everything else does. I mean, except for rose petals, but otherwise they look exactly the same. And so I don't know. It's not that I think it's poorly executed. I think it was like expertly executed. Like that was perfectly done. I just don't know that I would have done it that way, and I don't really like it, right? Like I can appreciate that somebody's a master of their craft and not like what their craft is, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is it is very obvious that the author of this comes from a stage background. It feels like a play. It does not feel like a movie script.
Really?
Like I feel like it reminds me of like a Glengarry Glen Ross kind of script where it's literally just a bunch of people talking. There's no real, other than the dream sequences, there's nothing cinematic about this story. You could tell this story like in a one-room black box play and it would be exactly the same movie. Like there is no reason. I mean, it does not need to be a movie the way that like
Jack and Jill is.
I don't know. Right, exactly. Yes, perfect. But that's not a knock on it, right? Like that actually I think is good sometimes because it forces them to rely on good characters and good story and clever dialogue, and it forces all of that. It just doesn't feel overly cinematic. And again, that's not to take away from it. It's not my cup of tea. But then my last point, and I promise I'll shut up and let you talk because I know I'm just rambling here.
I rambled a long time. What are you talking about? I'm listening. Good discussion.
My third thing though is this is literally it hurt me so much watching it this time how obviously this is just the third part in a trilogy that starts with Fight Club and progresses to Office Space and then moves into American Beauty, because those three movies are the exact same movie. They're the same movie.
And they all came out the same year.
The same year. It's a white guy wearing a white shirt with a tie who works in a cubicle, who hates his boss, who leaves his job, extorts his boss, doesn't give a crap about anything. It like everything. It is the exact.
It's funny because I didn't think of Office Space, but I did think of Fight Club, especially the part where he's doing extortion on his boss.
Yeah,
and he works out like he's carrying the stuff. Yeah, I was like, wow, that is just like Fight Club, and I'm like, I love Fight Club.
All three of the cubicle movies, these three cubicle movies, are the exact same movie, same character. So if you're like an 18 to 22-year-old, Fight Club was your movie. If you're like a 25 to 35-year-old Office Space is your movie. If you're 35 to 45, American Beauty is your movie. But you all feel the exact same way, just at different points in your life. And those three movies are a set. Like you could literally package those as a set. It's just crazy how similar they are. But anyway, those are my observations. And I do think Kevin Spacey was great. I think Annette Bening way outshined him in every scene that she was in. And yeah, anyway, but no, those three movies taken together, I think something was going on at the end of the millennium when everybody was like, I kind of hate my cubicle and I want to go do something else. And because it was everywhere apparently, and we didn't even realize it. Anyway.
And speaking of Annette Bening, I think I've said this before on the podcast, but she lost out that year, you know, to Boys Don't Cry. I'm blanking on her name. Who's the lady of Boys Don't Cry?
Boy, I can see her face.
I'm blanking out.
Name? Why can't...
But the funny thing is...
Hilary Swank.
Hilary Swank. The funny thing is, they were both up for an Oscar Best Actress a few years later, and Hilary Swank beat her again.
Yeah.
It's like wow.
That's right, because she won for $1 Million Baby.
That's right.
What was she up? What was Annette Bening up for that year? What was that?
I don't even remember. I just remember thinking, wow. Like at the time, I was like, this is crazy. Like Annette Bening must hate her guts.
I feel like Annette Bening is kind of like Amy
doesn't.
Adams. I think she's kind of like Amy Adams, where she's been nominated so many times and no one really. There was no like write-in campaign for
or
her,
Glenn
like
Close.
there was for like Leo.
Glenn Close, because Glenn Close, man, everybody thought she was gonna win, and you know the lady from I'm blanking out on names. I guess I'm tired. But lady from The Favorite, Olivia Colman, she won instead.
Yes.
And Olivia Colman didn't believe it. She was like, "What?" She was totally shocked. Anyway, so what would you give this movie?
I think, I guess it kind of comes down to whether I'm basing it on whether I enjoyed it or whether I think it was well done. Because I think it was incredibly expertly well done movie.
I agree.
I don't know that it would rank this high for my taste, and I don't even know that I would rank it this high just for importance.
You said it was
like,
77, right? It's 77 currently. I mean, you said you expected it to be lower, right?
I had expected it to drop more, and that's mostly just because the way that they, you know, it's a public domain voting system, and so like whatever the new hot movie is gets pushed to the top immediately. So
and Kevin Spacey, I'm sure people voted it down just because of him. So
it shows up. You have to like actually fully on IMDb. You can't just type American. You have to type American and then get the first 4 letters of beauty in before it will auto populate. Like they are burying that. I would put it lower. I would definitely put it lower than, I mean, because I think its current rating is something like 8.3. I don't think I would give it that high of a rating just from.
No.
I mean, just going with our like scale of importance to how artfully is it done, I think it's very well done. Like there's all the craft in the movie is exceptional, but the content of the movie is literally the exact same content as Office Space. Like, I mean, the story and the character is the exact same thing. And so like, I'm not saying that I love Office Space. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's fantastic. I would not put it as the 37th best movie of all time. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not where I would rank that movie. So I would probably put this lower. Like, I mean, 7.5, 8. Like, I mean, I was
going to say 7.
Knock it down a little bit.
I was going to say 7.
Okay.
And you're right. That's mostly because of how well done it is. You know, but it is a weird movie. And like I said, it's still pretentious in places. So.
What else was nominated that year for picture? I can't even remember.
I don't remember.
I'm trying to see.
Not Fight Club though. The Fight Club and Office Space were both like bombs at the box office. So
Fight Club got nominated for like sound editing and sound design. I do remember that. I'm sorry. Oh, The Insider was nominated for cinematography that year.
I like that movie a lot. That's one of my favorite.
I like that movie
films.
a lot too. Yeah. Of course it is.
What? You're gonna say Heat? What do you say? Manhunter? What?
Heat is very high on that list for Michael Mann. Okay, so that was the year that it was the nominees were American Beauty, Cider House Rules, The Green Mile, The Insider, and The Sixth Sense.
All of those movies I like more than American Beauty. I'm not. Gonna lie.
I was gonna say literally any of those movies could have won and have been better. And I honestly, I think. On our scale, I would almost put like The Insider ahead of American Beauty. Like,
definitely, 100% on that.
I mean, The Sixth Sense even I would put ahead of American Beauty. But
100%.
I don't know. Anyway,
on all of those, Cider House Rules is not one of my favorites, so that's the one I would give pause on. But definitely all of the rest I would rate higher.
Well, and I also The Green Mile I thought was good, but it just felt like I was like, oh yeah, this just reminds me that I like The Shawshank Redemption a lot. Anyway, so yes, that's American Beauty. I would, again, 7.5, 8. You're saying 7, so I think we both kind of agree. This is a solid movie, maybe not one of the best movies of all time.
Yeah.
Which
nothing wrong with that. Speaking of the best movies of all time, do you ready to talk about Jack and Jill?
Oh man, yeah.
Sure. I don't know if that's a joke or not. All right, I have a synopsis for that one.
It's all a joke.
Yeah,
all a joke.
It's all a joke. That's right. Let's see. Jack and Jill. So the synopsis is, let's see, it's kind of a long one. Holy cow. A Family Guy, Jack Sadelstein, I don't know, prepares for the annual event he dreads, the Thanksgiving visit of his fraternal twin sister, the needy and passive-aggressive Jill, who then refuses to leave. So, here is the trailer for Jack and Jill.
In every family, there's one person who drives you a little crazy.
I gotta pick Jill up at 4 a.m.
She comes once a year and she's leaving on Sunday.
However, there's no escaping it when it's your sister.
How we doing?
Your twin sister.
Are you going bald?
Huh?
No. You're getting fatter and your hair doesn't realize it needs to cover more face.
Okay.
From the producers of Just Go With It and Grown Ups.
And Jill are so alike.
We are nothing alike, I promise you.
She isn't shy.
Do that!
And she isn't leaving.
I put a little list together of things I want to do.
Beach, horseback riding.
Let's go! Oh my God!
Seriously, honey? Can't you try a little harder? She's your sister.
Please don't destroy my pool.
This year,
Guess who is taking you to the Lakers game?
Finally some twin time.
Compliments of Mr. Pacino.
What? This is insane, man. You gotta call him.
from Columbia Pictures,
All you gotta do is make contact. That's all.
Oh! Oh! Oh my God! I'm sure you have others.
You'd think it, but oddly enough, I don't.
What is it that you see in my sister?
I see a girl who wants recognition but never gets it.
family is forever.
Daddy, you know how to jump rope?
We were the Double Dutch Kings.
Adam Sandler is Jack and Jill.
Do you and Daddy have twin powers?
Some twins can feel when the other one's hurt.
A little harder.
No, Jill, stop it. He's kidding.
What? Oh!
Hear that, Daddy?
I actually did feel something there. Pride in my son.
So that is Jack and Jill. And that was an experience to watch that movie. I don't know about you, but that was, I'd never seen this movie before. I will probably never see this movie again. This is a painful movie to watch, like truly painful. I guess I can go first on this one.
Sure.
This movie. So let's take a step back, and instead of just laughing and mocking the film, let's really analyze why it's terrible. I actually had a screenwriting instructor who told me one time, she was like, look, if you're going to put a twist in your movie, you need to make sure the movie stands on its own before the scene of the twist, like The Sixth Sense. If he had never been dead and it just ended with the kid being in the play and he's got his sword and Bruce Willis tells him, you don't need to see me anymore, and the kid's happy, could the movie just end right there and it still be a great movie? Absolutely. You add the twist and it makes it even better, right? Having somebody split screen dressed in drag as his own sister is a funny gag for the first 20 seconds they're on screen. But you need a movie that stands on its own. You need a story that stands on its own that's not literally just a vehicle for Adam Sandler to wear a dress for 2 hours, because that's what this was. It was funny for a second, like just for like that long, just to be like, oh, look, there he is. He looks ridiculous. This is crazy. And it's still going and it's not funny anymore. Like it is one of those things where you're like, this would have made a great 2-minute, maybe 5-minute SNL sketch, just not a 90-minute movie. It's just, and they just kept going back to that well of look, Adam Sandler doing funny stuff as a woman. Look, he's playing soccer because he's so masculine. Look, he's still in that dress, still doing this thing. And how many times can we have Adam Sandler as a man going, oh, my sister, oh, she's so annoying, oh, I can't stand her. It's like, we get it. Like, we got it the first 5 times. Like, it's such lazy writing, and it's so bad. And it just, how they got Al Pacino to sign up for this movie, I will never know. Also, side note, this is just a commercial for Dunkin' Donuts. This entire movie is just a giant commercial. The Dunkachino, man. That is the best part of the movie. That 90 seconds of him watching that commercial and that commercial is the best part of this movie. Otherwise, this movie is garbage. Complete garbage. It's bad. Anyway, that's my opinion of this movie. What's your opinion of this movie? You love it, right? This is your favorite.
I'm not saying that's not what I'm saying. That's definitely not what I'm saying. I'm not even. No. But what I will say is, like American Beauty, I hadn't seen this movie. I've only seen it twice now. Once was in 2011. Now 10 years later in 2021. Both times I hated it. I will say that. But I think I like it more than you do because I actually think Al Pacino is hilarious in this movie. I laugh the most at him when he's on stage yelling at the people, and even just as how goofy he's fully committed to it. It's just, I mean, he's taking it seriously, even passing the hot dog, and it's just a weird thing. But I also I think the effects were pretty good. Like they were pretty seamless with the twin effects.
Oh, Yeah, no problems there. That wasn't my point.
I
It
mean,
was just that it's not that it was bad makeup.
This will sound crazy, but I think it's some of the best twin effects since like The Social Network, and I'm not even joking. Like I think the effects in this were so good, but especially considering he's having to change outfits to do all the different stuff, but the thing is, it's not a good impersonation that he's doing. It's one of his goofy voices personified, and Adam Sandler is a mixed bag for me. I like a lot of his movies. As I said earlier, I love The Wedding Singer. That's my favorite of his. And I think he can be a good actor. Punch Drunk Love kind of showed that. And so that's what I don't get this. They said a lot of his movies he makes because he gets to travel around the world. He'll set it, let's go to Hawaii, let's go to Africa, and all these things. But this one wasn't that case. I don't really understand what this was other than some kind of weird vanity project for Adam Sandler. I don't get it. There are a few things. I was thinking, if you're going to make this movie, because I remember when I saw the trailer for it, I was like, there has to be more here. They can't be that bad as it looks. It is. But there's a few scenes. Like there's the part where Adam Sandler is dressing up as his sister. And the movie is just full of cliches. But at that point, he comes out and the bathroom attendant sees him, and you're thinking, okay, what kind of weird comment is he gonna make or something? But they subvert your expectations because he actually helps him, doesn't judge him, and lets him go. And it's like if the movie had been that way, where they just constantly subverted what we thought was gonna happen and went a different direction, it would have been really funny. As it is, the Jill character is super annoying, and the Jack character is poorly acted. Like it just every reaction he did, in the trailer you guys saw, he reacted to his sister doing a jet ski in his pool, and he just kind of looks and walks, and it's like it's just goofy faces he's making, and then it's not only Al Pacino getting in this movie, Johnny Depp's in this movie, and it's like, and he's good too. I mean, they're both good in this movie, so I don't know why or how. I mean, I'm sure Adam Sandler has connections. But again, there were parts that I laughed at. I'm not going to say I didn't laugh, but it's just weird. It's all the cliches. We've seen it a million times before, and funnier, far funnier.
Yeah. It just felt again that they were just relying on that gag to carry the movie, and it didn't. I mean, it just didn't. And I also agree with you though. Al Pacino brought his A game, yes. And I can't tell if that's because he was just like, I'm doing this. If I'm going to have my name attached to this, I'm doing it. Or if it's just funny because you're watching Al Pacino in a comedic role like that. Like, I'm trying to think of any other times when I have truly seen Al Pacino go for it in like a goofy, slapsticky kind of comedy like that. Like, I can't even...
I don't know.
I can't think
and maybe
of
that's what appealed to him. Maybe he wanted to try something different. I don't know. It's kind of like Jack Nicholson in that other Adam Sandler movie, which I can't think of the title of that one.
Anger Management.
Yeah,
Anger
that's
Management.
right. Yeah, I mean, you think of that, Jack Nicholson. I didn't like that. I didn't really like that movie either.
No,
but it's Citizen Kane compared to this movie, though. I mean, it really is.
Well, but I think what I'm getting at though is because that's the expectation though, right? The expectation that was subverted is Al Pacino is the super intense guy, right? That's what he is. He is this super intense dramatic actor. And so the same way that you can take Adam Sandler and put him in Punch Drunk Love and you go, wow, this guy can really act. It's like, well, I'm not saying he was bad in that movie because I really do like that. I do love that you brought that movie up because I love that movie and nobody else likes that movie. But like, I wonder if it really was that Adam Sandler was great in that movie, or if it's just so far out of his normal range that it subverts your expectations.
Well, and
so like,
Paul Thomas Anderson wrote it for him. And that's
the
big thing because I mean, you think about it, he basically was playing an Adam Sandler character where it's like it's pent up rage and then he explodes. He does that in all of his movies. But in that way, it was really dramatic and it was awesome.
Right.
It's not one of my favorites for sure of that director's work, but I like it and I like Adam Sandler in it.
No. Yeah, I agree. It's definitely one of his more forgettable ones, but it's a good one. Anyway, but the point being though, I'm just wondering if it's the subversion of our expectations of who and what Al Pacino performances
Probably.
are that makes it like pop. I'm like, wow, this guy's hilarious. Like, is he, or is it just like suddenly you're like, well, he can tell a joke. Like Al can laugh. Like I didn't even know that he could laugh.
But
like,
it's both. It's a juxtaposition there, because he, like, when he kicks down the door and he comes in, like, and it's like, this is hilarious. Those are the parts that I laughed at. I really did. It's just
I lost it during that Dunkachino commercial. I was just like, what is happening?
I mean, even though like you said, it's a big commercial for it, it's still funny, and the reactions from Al Pacino are really funny. It's like, yes, I know I'm being marketed to, but at least it's entertaining. And I made me wonder. I was like, I really wish this was a real thing. I wish that was a real commercial.
Oh yeah, you can find edits of it on YouTube where people snip it to the point where it's completely out of context and it just looks like Al Pacino made a Dunkin' Donuts commercial, and it's hilarious because you send it to somebody and they're like, "How much do they pay this guy to do this?" It's great.
It's awesome.
Anyway. Oh man, but no, it is a very bad movie. Like, it is very bad, and yes. I mean, we're laughing, and there are parts of it that are, I feel like we are definitely at the I'm laughing at this movie, not laughing with this movie kind of situation, because it's just like, I don't think they were trying to make the humor that they made.
Another thing is too, this will sound weird, I do like that it's PG, because most of Adam Sandler stuff is really hard PG-13 because they get really raunchy in places, or there are, and it this was a PG movie, so it's definitely family friendly, which surprises me. When I saw the trailer again, I'm seeing all, Al Pacino writes his number on a hot dog, and I'm just like, okay, what is this? And then it's PG, and I'm like, huh, okay. So it's nice and refreshing every once in a while a family movie comes out, because it's a pretty innocent movie.
I do wonder. That's interesting, because I didn't even register that it was a PG movie. Like, I mean, obviously, there's not like excessive profanity or nudity. I mean, it's like none of that's there. But I do wonder if part of the reason that it feels so lame and corny is because we're not the target audience. Like, are 8-year-old kids the target audience? Because if so, they may think this movie's hilarious. Like, if you were 8 and you were watching this movie and, oh, he's dressed up like a girl now, it's so funny. Like, I mean, like, would that?
Well, okay,
that might
for instance,
land.
Like,
I don't know.
For instance, I mean, think of like Mrs. Doubtfire. That's a much better movie. Don't get me wrong, but I loved that movie when I was younger, and I still do. I don't see the people that were 8 in 2011 growing up and loving this movie, but it's the same.
I'm not saying it was well done.
No, I know, but I'm saying, but my point is, it can work, and that's what I was saying earlier. Like this, I didn't want to write this movie off just from the trailer, and you know me, I will watch anything one time, like at least, and I had to watch this movie to see if it was really as bad as the trailer made it out to be, and that's another reason I was so disappointed in it. But
and I don't know I would love to know some of the backstory of why and how and when this movie got made, because the star power that's in the movie, the branding that's in the movie, the effects, like you were describing, because you're right. That point when they like dance and they're like bumping into each other, and I mean, like it's like,
or doing hopscotch.
Like that takes work. Like that's not just gonna.
It got to a point where it was seamless, where you stopped thinking of them as the same actor. I really did start thinking of them as different characters. For me, I mean, I know it's Adam Sandler being goofy in both roles, but I thought the effects were so seamless that I never like cared or judged it. So
no, I agree with you. There are a lot of times when you watch movies like this where you're like, I can see this over the shoulder, where it's like pretty obviously not you that we're like looking over the shoulder of, and it never did that. You're right, it never did do that. So I would just be interested to know, like, how did this movie get made? Did somebody have like a 3-picture deal and they had a third?
It had to have a pretty big budget. I mean, to do the effects and get Al Pacino and Katie Holmes and
be
all
on
these people.
And be on a Caribbean cruise.
Yeah,
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I forgot about that. That's probably why I wanted to make the movie. That answers that question. He got to go on a cruise with his family, because he said that. He did say he gets to go on these vacations with his family. Like, so
that's a pretty bad. Like, if that's what you're doing to go, like, just buy a ticket on a cruise ship, man. Like, this is not the way to go. Like,
but getting paid and also getting a free vacation is pretty cool, pretty sweet. So
I guess so.
More the merrier.
But so this movie, in keeping with our previous conversation, did win quite a few awards as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It won 10 awards at the Razzies that year. So
did it win Worst Picture?
It did win Worst Picture. It won Worst Picture. It won Worst Supporting Actress, David Spade. Worst Director.
That was terrible. I hated that scene.
Worst Screenplay. Worst Screen Couple, Adam Sandler and Katie Holmes, and Adam Sandler and Al Pacino.
And Adam Sandler and Adam Sandler.
Yeah, exactly. Worst Actor goes to Adam Sandler. Worst Actress goes to Adam Sandler. And unfairly, I feel Worst Supporting Actor goes to Al Pacino.
Yeah, that's he was great. He's the best part of the movie.
It did also win Worst Remake because it claims that
what?
Their claim is that it was a remake of Ed Wood's Glenn or Glenda. So, that's
I don't see that at all. No, I mean
it did not win Worst Supporting Actor or Worst Supporting Actress. So, it didn't quite have a clean sweep, but it was doing well that year. So so that is the 37th worst movie of all time as of January 1st, 2010. Currently, the 37th worst movie of all time is Kazam.
Well, hold on. I do want to do a correction because it wasn't on our list in 2010. This is one we had to switch.
Oh, you're right.
So we.
Sorry, you're correct.
What was the? It was the. What's the former prime minister?
Tony Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, Tony Blair Witch Project. That's right. And it's like that movie
Which
you
doesn't
cannot
exist,
find. It doesn't
apparently.
exist, but it has some of the worst ratings. It's not even on the list anymore. I don't think.
No, it's not.
But I could not find a copy. I mean, literally for 10 years, I've tried at various points, and so that's why we switched. So this one was when we looked at this last time. I don't even know how many months ago we did this podcast, but that one it was 37. So in that time frame, it's dropped down to 38.
Yeah, or gone up.
Yeah.
Depending on how you look at it.
That is true. You're right. You're right.
It's getting better. People are liking it more.
That's right.
But that's only because Kazam has gone down. So Kazam, which stars either Shaq or Sinbad, depending on your reality, is the 37th worst movie of all time. So
the Mandela effect.
Yeah, the Berenstein stain.
Yes, that's right.
Bears. I don't know. Anyway, we don't need to go into all of that. I hate that we're not getting to watch Kazam on this list. That's kind of troublesome. But anyway,
you know what we do when we get to the end of the thing, like we did. We picked ones for ourselves, right? The ones we would have put in that group. So maybe you'll put Shazam in the 30s.
Kazam. Not Shazam. That's right.
Oh, Shazam's the new one. That's a much better movie.
That's right. It's so bad. Okay, so what would you give Jack and Jill?
Well, again, they completed it, and I think there was production value. So I'm going to probably say a 2.
I would say like a 2.
It's got to be Al Pacino at least bumps it up. I can't give it a 0, and I don't want to give it a 1, so it's a 2.
Yeah. I just thought of this. Al Pacino in this movie reminds me of Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder. Like it's that kind of role. Like that's what it kind of reminds me of. But instead of playing in a fat suit, he's just playing Al Pacino. Just crazy Al Pacino, which is kind of all right. Yeah, I would give it like a 2 or a 3, somewhere in that range. It's got its moments, and they did some things really well. But overall, this is an awful movie.
Yeah, we're not recommending to watch it. It's not even so bad it's good. It's just bad mostly throughout.
It's just bad. Yeah. And what is it currently ranked? Okay, right now it's ranked with a 3.3 out of 10 on IMDb. So if that tells you anything.
It does.
And only 78,000 people have bothered to rate it. It's just kind of funny, but anyway. So that's our 37th best and 37th worst movies of all time. What do we have for them next time, Charles?
Oh, man, I don't even know. Do you have the list pulled up? I legitimately don't. You were like, that was a softball of a question.
I tried to be as like...
You really did. I'm like, oh, wait, where's he go with? Oh, I'm part of this.
What are we doing next?
36 best and worst.
Oh, it is going to be 36. That's right. Let me check your math on that. Yep. Nope. I got the same thing.
Do you have the list?
Same thing. I'm pulling her up now, trying to anyway.
Because now I'm curious.
Oh, no.
Like, what?
Oh no, I'm trying to find the list.
Well, while you look for that, I will say, you found it? Okay, but I was gonna say in March we're gonna be doing our next episode of Here and There. We're continuing the Hannibal Lecter series, so we'll be discussing Silence of the Lambs with Kelly on March 31st, Wednesday, March 31st. If you want to tune in and check it out. And Kelly's been in the process of moving and doing a whole bunch of different stuff, so that's why we haven't been doing Good Bad Podcasts. But she should be up and running by March 31st.
So the 36th best and worst movies of all time. The 36th best movie of all time is Apocalypse Now. So that'll be fun. I guess we need to decide. According to the list, it's just Apocalypse Now.
Okay.
So I will have to assume that's theatrical. Like, okay. I have them all. So if you want to do Redux or you want to do Final Cut or you want to,
I have not watched. I have it. I haven't watched the Final Cut yet. So I'm kind of curious because I heard it's kind of in the middle between the two.
It is. Let's talk about it next week or next week, whenever we watch them.
So I think I'll watch the Final Cut. We'll stick with the theatrical one, but I'll watch for me the Final Cut in between because I've seen the theatrical one in Redux. So
I haven't seen the theatrical cut of that movie in so long. Once Redux came out, I just stuck with it. But anyway, and then the 36th worst movie of all time is Crossover.
Is that which one's Crossover?
This is a movie about young, hopeful basketball players in a streetball championship.
Huh. I don't know if I know that one.
I don't. I had to look it up. And
I wonder how hard that's going to be able to find. Like, is it?
I don't know.
Movie?
In the list of, if you liked this movie, you'll also enjoy Roll Bounce. So just be ready for.
From 2006, is that what you're talking about?
That's right. That's the one.
Okay, it looks. Yep. It's got a bunch of big people in it, though. Anthony Mackie, Wayne Brady.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
No, I know. No, what I was saying was I was hoping it wasn't a movie that we weren't going to be able to find, and we were going to have to do an alternate.
Oh,
so,
yeah, no.
I think we'll be able to find this one.
Yeah, in fact, I know we will because I can see where it's showing right now. So we should easily be able to find it one way or the other. But join us next time for Apocalypse Now and Crossover. It's up to you to decide which one won Best Picture at Cannes, and we'll figure that out.
All right.
So, alrighty. Well, you can always, as always, watch us on Facebook or listen to the replay on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube by searching 50/50 and IMDB. And of course, you can find all of our podcasts, not just 50/50, but Good Bad Podcasts, etc. here, there, at itsjustawesome.com. So just be sure to like and subscribe wherever you happen to find us, whether it be YouTube or iTunes, Apple Podcasts, whatever. So
please do.
Yeah, please. It helps a lot. So,
all right.
Well, this is good. I enjoy it. It's a good time, and I'm actually really looking forward to next time. One of my favorite movies. I'll let you pick which one.
And I won't comment yet, but I hope that we didn't lose you when we discussed politics a little bit at the beginning. So stick with us, please, because we do stay pretty neutral.
Yes, absolutely.
All right.
Alrighty.
All right.
Well,
we'll see you later. Bye. Have a good one, guys.